Hey everyone, welcome back.
Welcome,
And
welcome.
if you're new, my name is Ezju,
And I'm Shuak.
and today it's kind of like a second parter to our initial dip our toe into the Scott Peterson case.
Peterson. Interesting
And this
case.
will be a good one. We're going to talk about can Scott be set free? And before we get into that,
Yes. Just, please just do some house. I'm going to talk about some housekeeping. Please, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research and always be kind to everyone,
yes, absolutely. Thank you, Shirak. And
even
today,
to us,
what's that? What's that?
to even to us.
Even sauce anywhere you go,
Anywhere you
basically.
go.
And then today, I'm just gonna set the stage here. So basically, today is like I said, almost like the second parter to our first episode we just
Yes.
recently did. We said because we initially just started talking about that. If you missed the episode at the end, I'll put a link so you can go back and watch the first one where we did a little bit of background on Scott Peterson. It was a very, very high level, quick overview. But if you need to know a little bit more about the case, go there. Or there's and A&E and Crime Daily, all these different ones sites have like really long, multiple
Yes.
hours on this whole story, and we try to get into more specific topics. So, can Scott be set free? That's a topic we're talking about today, and we're
Interesting.
gonna
Yes.
kind of answer that question based on what is presented to us. And when I'm saying we're gonna answer it, meaning we're gonna say what are those things where he could be set free? Okay, let me be clear on that. So you can kind of see some of the hints here on this title screen. We're going to talk about the burglars, the boat, the
Oh,
DNA, and Laci walking her dog. So
cute dog.
let's go quickly. Just a real, you know, it's my it's my organizational skills that kind of just want to be clear where we're going to talk about. So quick recap of the evidence, meaning the evidence, the main evidence against Scott and the evidence that will exonerate him. Let's just go through that real quickly. It's kind of a recap from our last show, just really fast. Next, we'll talk about what the hearings are, the next hearings, when they're going to be, and what it means. And then could Scott be set free?
The DNA.
That's going to be, we're going to talk about the DNA, the Los Angeles Innocent Project track record, which you mentioned briefly in the previous video, the burglary. I can still say it the wrong way. I mean, I'm hungry. I'm thinking hamburgers. I think that's what it is, Shrock.
Burglary.
The boat that was empty when Scott was going out to sea, when he's doing his thing, they were saying that his boat was empty, and neighbors who have seen Laci walking her dog that morning. So we're going to get into those in a little bit deeper. But first, just really quickly, I don't want to take too much time because I know we talked about this in the last episode. Key evidence against Scott Peterson. I'm just going to paraphrase this, but basically, he was having an affair with Amber Fry. He basically told her that his wife was dead a month before she actually went missing. In recording calls, he said he didn't want to be a father. He was thinking about getting a vasectomy. So again, trying to go back to the motive. He told the police he was fishing out in Berkeley the day his wife disappeared. But by the way, he was telling all his family and friends he was going golfing. So, and in fact, even his neighbors. So there was a little inconsistency there. Okay. Continuing on, the remains of his wife and unborn son were discovered in the San Francisco Bay. Prosecutors maintain that the burglary across the street actually happened on December 26th. There's definitely some discrepancy in there, which we'll talk about. And, he did bleach his hair, and they found him near going closer to the Mexican border with 10,000 in cash and his brother's passport, and I think driver's license too. So these are all the main evidence against him. Okay, that's just a quick summary. And then the evidence that could exonerate Scott was a new DNA testing that will be done on the hammer and the mattress that they found in the burned out van. Part less than, the van was found burned out less than a mile away, but that played into that burglary across the street. And if that has Laci's DNA on it, that can open up the case. And that was what we talked about last episode. Is that second trial for Scott possible? And of course, that's based on the DNA and so forth. And then his supporters, meaning Scott's supporters, have long focused at allegedly those burglars that did the stuff across the street, that they could have killed his wife,
Right.
not Scott.
I just don't understand why is this taking so long. They should have been did that evidence.
I'm guessing it probably, I don't know the legal system. maybe things have changed. Maybe they're considering, taking this on. Maybe they needed to build up enough evidence to at least get this far. Maybe it took some time because usually if you're convicted and you're basically going to be
Yeah,
put to
sometimes
death,
like
it may take a long time. Maybe they needed the DNA technology to get to a certain level.
20
Could be all of
years.
the above.
Yeah, 20 years long.
And then so yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the hearing schedule, just to let you guys know, we mentioned last episode too, but the hearings are on May 29th and July 15th. We're going to keep on this. So when we hear updates, we're going to give them here to you guys fresh. So we'll keep you guys focused on that. And again, as I said, the appeal really hinges on the new DNA testing on the mattress and with the present day technology. And I think the hammer too. So that's going to really make the difference. The answer is the first question from the previous episode on this. Now we're going to get into a little bit on the evidence that could possibly set him free. So if he gets a second trial, what are those two key things that could let him go? And we mentioned, excuse me, the Los Angeles Innocence Project. Basically, really summarize it. We go a little more deeper in the previous episode, but they're focused on exonerating wrongly convicted people. So they're basically history of who they've helped. 43% of their clients were proven innocent. 42 were confirmed guilty. 50% was inconclusive. So we were talking about last episode, it could be roughly about 50-50, but that's still a good track record. Yes, you could say, oh my God, so sad that so many innocent people go to jail.
Yes.
But you can also look on the positive side that this group is doing a great job.
They're doing a great
job.
job.
So if you're looking at this alone, the reason why I mentioned it again, if you're just looking at can Scott go free, just based on this with no other situation, just that their willingness to, put in their time and effort into this, it's a 50-50 shot. So even that alone, if you were to answer it, you already got 50% just based on the track record alone. I know that's not real evidence, but I'm just stating on statistics, I guess. So the burglars. So burglars were ignored. I think they did talk to them, by the way, and they said, "Oh, we didn't do anything." And I don't think they really pushed it because I think they were hell bent on Scott. Let's face it. And we talked about that. Yes, they just
spoke. The media actually convicted him.
But this woman, Diane Jackson, okay, she had seen the van and suspicious people at 11:40 a.m. on December 24th, and she specifically said December 24th, not December 26th. So I don't know. I have to go look through the affidavit. And I mentioned last time that's my to-do. There's a lot of information I got to gather. I got to look through this and see where that kind of fell apart. But when you have a witness kind of coming out and saying this, what's going on here? And when they said the van, where they found out burnt out on Christmas Day, well, that's not the 26th either. So I'm really confused on this. She mentioned that those neighbors said it was on the 24th. And she remembers seeing the suspicious van on the 24th. She was
in her vehicle driving and she focuses.
Yeah. She slowed down and was like, what the heck is going on?
Exactly. She slowed down. So she definitely got a good visual.
So I'm starting off, with, as we go along, I think the evidence can get stronger if you're pro Scott Peterson. We're trying to keep neutral. We want to see where all the evidence falls out, but we're trying to convey to you what the evidence is against, what the evidence isn't, and what some of the things that have yet been to finalize that haven't been discussed that could swing in Scott's favor. Okay. Anything more, Shrock, on that one?
Yes, and also they're saying that these were the people that could have been possible. Like you said, they did have questioned them, but how deep did they go with those questionings?
Exactly. And from what we know, it was of course, without digging into the actual documentation, which we need to do, but it was very light from what we understand. The next one is the boat.
Yes.
So this boat is only, just give context. I don't know if people have been on a boat. This is a 14-foot boat. It's very small.
Yes.
It's basically meant for like I don't even know if 3 people. Really comfortably 1 to 2, really. Okay. Very, very small. You stand up on it, you can rock. Depending on the type of water, you can really fall over. And I know, Shrock, you have a lot more to add to this I'll get through the 3 bullet points. I know you're itching. I know you're itching to say more on this. But basically, this guy, Yuri Fiera, seen Scott's boat go by him and saw nothing out of the ordinary and he thought it was impossible to conceal any large object.
Exactly.
It's a very small boat. It's maybe like, on this deep or whatever. So this guy, Yuri, says, he does remember his face, but he remembers the camouflage and he remembers the boat. And he says, it would have been very tough to hide, pretty much impossible. It's very small. So how could he carry a body,
Exactly.
his pregnant wife, and these 8-pound anchors that went along with it?
80 pound, yep.
80. Oh, I thought it was 8.
No, 80. They said.
Oh boy, I probably did I get
I
that
don't know.
wrong?
Maybe I just know they said something.
Yeah, there was anchors. They're heavy. They had to be heavy enough to weigh the body down.
Exactly.
So bottom line is you got to put all that into the boat.
I mean, if you think of a baby's 8 pounds, and that's not heavy at all.
Yeah, it's true.
So
I know there's multiples.
And you got to think of the water. The water is definitely heavy, so you have to think of it. It has to be like 80 so it can sink to the bottom.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Either way, you got to stick those multiple anchors or weights in the boat along with in play daylight and go out there with it. But Shrock, share what you learned the other day.
Yes. So this was a very good, interesting piece of especially when they talked about with the boat. Now the boat is definitely 14 feet. And how deep is it? Maybe 2.5, I want to say.
Yeah.
And they did an experiment. Like his lawyer, Mark, I think his name is Grigagos. He basically did an experiment where he put a 150-pound woman, because remember she was pregnant and she weighed about 150 pounds with the baby, wrapped up in the boat and with the anchors on there. And they tried to see if they can flip that out of the water. It was so interesting because the whole boat flipped over, and they tried like 4 to 5 multiple times, and they call it impossible. It was impossible to do that. So that was very interesting when they did that exam. And so what they did, they definitely eliminated that as a possibility because it was impossible.
And they have some video on it, and it was really interesting. So basically, they're trying to get, and again, I'm trying to be sensitive here. I don't mean anything by this, but they're basically trying to take the weight of a person who's deceased.
Mhm.
Obviously, they're not helping. You're trying to lift it. That's a very small boat, so you're trying to balance. I've been on small boats like that. You're trying to balance
yourself. It's like
yourself.
about 100 pounds itself.
Oh yeah, and you're trying to balance yourself.
That
and you're trying to flip the body into the water.
It weighed more than a boat.
And with the weights and everything, and you're trying to do that perfectly. It's
it was very
difficult.
interesting, and the way they had it carried out, it just like they examined it. They tried to do it, and the whole boat flipped over, which is interesting.
Exactly.
So that's definitely.
And there's video on that. You guys can. I wonder if we can. If we get a chance, it remind me, I'll put it in the comment section so people can see that as well.
That'll be awesome.
So if this account is accurate and the evidence of reproducing this is accurate, that plays a lot into this. Okay, now the last one, but a goodie, is Laci walking her dog on the 24th. Okay, and the reason why this is a big deal is, well, let me get into it. I'm getting ahead of myself. So these witnesses, and I'm picking two. There was more, but Frank and Sue, well, and especially Sue and I think her husband down below there, they said the police didn't even interview them. Okay,
exactly.
And Frank really specifically remembers the dog. It was a golden retriever, and he remembers, he's like, oh, this woman doesn't have a jacket on. She's got to be cold. Stomach. Yeah, I mean, and how many pregnant women with golden retrievers are running down the street, and especially if they're somewhat neighbors or if you know them, So there's more than these two, but I'm just mentioning specific people that seen her at a certain time frame. So just let me break it down more. So they're thinking she did her usual walk was about 45 minutes, okay? And if you see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it kind of goes in the pattern of the circle, and those names are the people that have swear that they saw her. Feel very confident, okay? So, and this is all between the time of 10 to 10:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Eve. Okay. Now, Scott calls his voicemail at 10:08 on December 24th, and authorities have him heading to the warehouse at this time. I guess back then they were able to triangulate his signal, his call.
Yeah.
And again, this is from verbal documentation. You know me, I get a little cringy because I haven't dived into all the court documents. There's a lot of documents. I need
Tons
more
of
time to
documentation.
process. So I'm just going to say allegedly here all this stuff because until I get to see more of it in writing, I like to put the little asterisk next to it. But I've heard this mentioned more than one time from different, seem to be reliable sources. So if this is the case, and if these witnesses are correct, that would mean Scott is not the murderer because how could he be on his way to the warehouse?
Mm-hmm.
People are seeing Laci as late as 10:30 a.m. He's already gone because he's at the marina
Mm-hmm.
at 12:45, and
He
they know
also
that
got
because he got that
the
slip.
ticket. He got
He
the
got the
slip.
ticket. He got the slip.
Got a
Okay.
slip. So that's definitely proof he was there with his boat. Yes.
Yeah. So
And
again,
he also went and got gas as well. So
yeah.
there's some proof there.
So again, I know it sounds like we're saying Scott's innocent. I'm not. We're just saying from the
No.
standpoint of could Scott go free? These are the type of things, if they are proven to be true,
Mm-hmm.
any one of these things. Obviously, if they can prove that the boat was empty, then people say, well, he could have done it another time. Okay, what possibility,
Yeah,
but
it's a possibility. And like you said, we want to be clear. We're not saying he is
innocent or guilty,
innocent
right?
or guilty. We just throwing you the facts of what's out there. And also, even one interesting thing is Laci's mom was saying that she don't think he did it at the beginning.
Well, at the beginning,
At the
right?
beginning, she was saying she didn't think he did it. She kept saying, nope, it's not him. They have a beautiful relationship. Things change. But I think the fact is one of the things is that, okay, he had an affair. So,
Yeah, it was it. Once the
and I
affair
think
came
he
out,
probably
they
was,
were hurt really
yeah,
bad.
they hurt. So they's like, okay, you need to be punished because you had that affair
Exactly.
versus is he still innocent? So sometimes, the emotions definitely starts to ravel. And it basically is because of he had that affair. Okay, once you do something
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, you need to be punished, then you did it.
And of course, all this could have, this doesn't necessarily, he could still be guilty on
Yes.
even one of these things are proven to be correct. It still doesn't. This one is a little tough because if she was still alive, this would match more of like the whole burglary thing and finding the people, because she would come back around close to the time that those people were out with the
Mhm.
van. Okay. Again, it all goes back to the 25th, but to answer the question, could Scott Peterson go free? The answer, yes, it is possible,
possible.
because if the DNA opens up the door for the second court appearance, second trial,
Mhm.
then if they were to introduce these items, which I would think they would, and again, we're not career criminal people.
Right.
I don't know if things would be let in, let out, but if they do, all this is going to come into play,
Mhm.
and it could change, a jury's opinion on this stuff.
Exactly. And
Okay.
definitely with the Innocent Project on this case, they've been doing a good job. Hopefully, they'll
Just statistics alone, it's a 50-50 chance.
yes,
Almost,
50% that he can be free, 50% he may stay in jail.
So before we get to the last piece of this, just want to say if you liked what you've seen so far, we're always looking ways to improve,
Yes.
all our stuff, all angles, and we do take the feedback and try to apply it. But if you like it, please take a moment to subscribe. It means a lot to us. We're trying to do some live chats when we want, we want to hit at least 750 before we do the live chats. We're going to do that every week, so we can interact with you guys and talk this a little farther out.
Now the live chats, the way we're going to be act at is when we talk about a show, we're going to so you would know we'll talk about that last episode, and that's will be on our live chat most likely.
Yeah. So to reiterate, what we're gonna do
Right.
is
And just get some feedback.
the most recent episodes, maybe
That
either
was
one of
released.
them,
Yep.
one of those two. That's gonna be the specific topic
Right.
of our live chat. We're gonna be very structured
So
because
yes,
I
so I
join
just want you
live.
to be clear on that.
Yeah, I join live chats on other true crime shows that are great. I mean, I like them, but usually they're very vague,
Yeah.
or they start off being about subject and they go way off the rails. And it's good to get to know us too, but sometimes, like when I join some of these other live chats, they go way off the topic, and I'm kind of bummed out because I really want to talk about the topic. We're
Yeah.
gonna stick to that
We're gonna stick
topic.
to the topic.
So
Exactly.
one last thing, and for the people that are new,
Crime board.
our crime, yeah, our crime board is just a way for us to discuss the high level parts of the case. So if you're new, we do this for all the cases. We'll put things that are understood, if things are a fact. If we're unaware of a piece, we do a episode on it. We may go to you guys as a community, do a poll based on what you guys feel. We'll put on here, community voted on this. This is what we think. It's just a way for us to kind of simulate and understand the case and where we think what's going on. So really quickly, we understand that the murder probably happened on December 24, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
It's just understood because we don't know. It could have been the day after. Who knows? She could have been held, but most likely it's probably the 24th. A fact that she was a victim along with her unborn son, Connor. Fact that Scott was convicted. We're not sure where the murder happened, meaning it could have been in the house, could have been in the van, it could have been at somewhere else.
But there's no DA in the house. We know
No
that.
DNA in the house. A motive,
Or the
it could have
van.
been the girlfriend, it could have been not having a son, it could be money, depending on, what things, how things come out, could be multiple things. Question mark on how. Was it a drowning? Was it blunt force trauma? Again, these are things for like future discussions. And then the suspects, obviously we know Scott Peterson is one, but would it be the
Body.
burglars as well? Are there other suspects? And then there's the fact that the bodies were found in San Francisco Bay. So we just build this as a place for us to discuss and try to figure out the case together and discuss and get a little deeper into it.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm sorry, this microphone, this thing squeaks. I don't know how much it shows on here. I'm so sorry. I don't want it to be too distracting. Sorry about that, guys. I need to oil it. But anyhow, Shirok, any final comments?
One thing I wanted to go back about the motive. I know they basically mentioned that he didn't want to have kids. If he didn't want to have kids, any guy don't have kids, right? They can get that procedure done. He could have got that done way before. So that one, even though he was just, of course, he probably didn't want to have kids, but people know how to have babies, right? So I mean, come on. So the fact is that he could have said, okay, I want that done. He could have got that done years ago
Yeah,
before he even had, so.
yeah, and not only that, but and again, it's hearsay allegedly.
Yeah.
In a lot of the story, mode shows that we watch, because we're less story based and more focused on specific topics. But they're going on how they planned that.
Exactly. And
So
we watch ton of these videos, and one of them is that you should see someone else had a baby. They had a get together. It could have
yeah,
been and he was just having that baby, holding the baby in his arms and smiling. It was just like
yeah,
it was his child,
I
and
don't
he
know.
had that passion for the baby. And then next thing you know, she got pregnant. So
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, well, we're gonna talk about those motives. I mean, I think we're gonna hold off on that. I really want to see what happens with his DNA.
yeah,
But again, the first episode we did on this case was talking about what's a possibility. There's definitely a distinct possibility, especially if the DNA comes back with Laci's blood on it. That's going to restart everything.
exactly.
And then could he just go free? Personally, in terms, if the DNA comes back with Laci's DNA and this opens up, I would be really shocked if they don't introduce all these different witnesses on all these different angles. And you have to be guilty with without a doubt, or pretty far along. The proof, the burden is on. you know so we'll see what happens, because
Yeah,
I'm not saying again, it sounds like we're going back and forth because we're talking about whether the possibilities he could be set free. That's why we're focusing on more like these what ifs. We're not trying to be a conspiracy
exactly.
theory. We're
It's
not trying to say he's
allegedly.
innocent. We're not going rah rah rah. We're just trying to say, what are
Exactly.
all the possibilities one way or the other? We kind of know the guilty side because we went through it and he's been convicted on it. What we're
Right.
focusing on is what's the possibility he could be let go.
And
So
we
I
got to
think we stayed
remember, a
with
lot
those
of people
pieces.
is using their emotions to make their decision, and you should not use your emotions. There's a lot of
It's hard.
confirmation bias in here that is definitely is presented, and we need the facts. And like I said, he could be guilty. He could be guilty. I'm gonna say that again because I don't want to hear, oh, you think he could be guilty? He could be innocent. We don't know.
Right. Exactly. Very well done. Yes, exactly. But we want to, talk about it. And we're going to be on this. We're going to have more episodes because guess what?
Yes.
In February, I'm sorry, February. Oh my goodness, what's going on with my face? In May and in July or through the summer, we're going to keep track of this. When there's updates, we will definitely do an episode on this. Keep you guys updated.
Exactly.
I'm telling you one thing though, if that DNA Shrock comes back being positive of her blood, oh man, I don't know if this ever reached the levels. It probably won't reach the levels it did back in the early 2000s, but
But
it's
you
going
know
to be a
what?
firestorm.
They had this case up there with O.J. Simpson. It's just overwhelming. I cannot believe how big and huge this case was. They said reporters came out of different states came here just to work on this case. It was just astronomical, global. It just, yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. The
amazing.
coverage. And so we'll see. But guys, thank you so much again for hanging in there.
Thank you.
And we appreciate this journey with you guys. And I'm looking forward to these live chats.
I know.
So
I have to hear what you have to say.
Basically, our two big things was at 7:50. We wanted to get enough people so we could at least start the live chats. If even it comes down to me just Shrock and I talking about it, that's fine. It's always good to do another recap. But we'd like you guys to join us.
Yeah.
When we do get that, we'll announce it. We'll have it on a community board.
I mean, you can join us. You could be driving and just listening to us and just talking,
Yeah, you don't
through
have
your
to
car.
chat,
and
drive safe.
Yeah, like through your car. I'm not saying.
Yeah, just the audio.
Usually just use the audio and just have a conversation like you talking, with earplugs.
Yeah, I'd love you guys to join us. So we'll post it.
Walking your dog or walking at that point, you can just join us there. It'd be awesome.
And we'll do it. We'll do an announcement on the community board, and we'll also do a quick short on it.
Yes.
So you guys know, because a lot of times we record these episodes sometimes 2 weeks ahead of time, beforehand. So in other words, we may record this, you may not actually see this episode until 2 weeks out. So we'll probably do the community board, a quick little short as to when we're going to start these live chats. It'll be every week at the same time, so you guys will know. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by a certain time frame. I'm not sure because we were thinking about going out to Colorado. That's still a possibility. I don't know if we're going to make our goal. We're going to try because we need to make accommodations ahead of time. That's why we're on this time crunch. If not, no big deal. I did look into it. Looks like going to like Survey 319 for the Watts thing is going to become very difficult. There's a long story to that. So we're trying to also think of where we realistically can do out there. But we'll talk about that maybe on our live chat when we're talking about the Morphew case or the Watts case. But I'm going off the rails. Yes. Anything more, Shrock?
No, just thank you for watching. Thank you for the comments. And thank you for subscribing.
Yeah, thank you for being there and being involved. We appreciate you. Yes. Until next time.
Studio 70.